Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
My dear friends, I would remind you of this. Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Remember, friends, we are not in control. God is. Pray, and this too shall pass. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Thursday. Good morning, call in. And a good morning to you and your families. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and we certainly appreciate you tuning in again for the Thursday edition of Zeb at the Ranch. And we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you right now with a great big spring tire sale. Stop in and see them today. Don't forget to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, don't forget our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go right to the phone line for our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. You're on the air.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Randy, thank you very much for calling in. We've got a full plate, and I'm gonna explain what's happening here this morning. Thank you so much. God bless you, man. Thank you. Right now, we're thanks to my good buddy Wheels over at the main studio. We're going to do things a little bit differently this morning because of the statewide stay-at-home order by Brad Little yesterday, our governor. We are going to go via the phone right now to K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. Roger, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How's it going?
Well, I'll tell you what, right now all of us are going to have to kind of just look at the whole card, playing poker right now with this coronavirus, and all the businesses are doing all they can to let the public know that they're open for business and serving the public. What about K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn? Any changes you want the public to know about?
No, everything's going as normal. We are being more cautious, cleaning equipment better, sanitizing, trying to keep from having any big groups, which we usually don't have. But everything's going. Spring's moving. The sprinkler people and the pivot people, they're putting lines in. So, I mean, it's kind of spring is normal.
Absolutely. You know, I'm so glad you said that. Spring is moving, and we've got to still live a life, provide a life, and do things according to what the calendar tells us. And you've got all the power rakes, all the garden and lawn equipment, the rototillers, etc. I mean, people can get outside, they can work in their gardens, fix up their lawns. You've got all the equipment at K&R Rental.
Yes, we do. The construction's still going heavy. So...
Well, I appreciate you going on the air with me this morning, Roger, and we're going to send everybody over. By the way, I always say to people, if they're not sure what they need, just to give you a call first at 678-3122, right?
Right. Yes, because if they can explain what they're doing, we can get them into the right piece of equipment to do the job.
Absolutely. I appreciate your diligence this morning and coming on the air, Raj, and God bless you, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Zeb.
All right, sir. K&R Rental, that's Roger at 256 South 600 west of Hebron. And right now, Wheels, here's the weather.
Looks like Mother Nature is going to bestow upon us some sunshine and warmer temperatures. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. We are expecting mostly sunny skies with a high of 45. A little bit of a breeze out of the west, gusts as high as 23 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear with a low of 25. By Friday, mostly sunny, 47. Looks like sunny skies and 52 for Saturday, Sunday. Slight chance of rain showers in the afternoon with a high of 52. Then by Monday, mostly sunny, 56, 63 for Tuesday. That's a look at your weather forecast for us. That is rain.
Gina, I appreciate it very much. Brought to you by a nice man, Roger, over there at K&R Rental on the Burley Paul Highway, 678-3122. My good friend Wheels over at the station is doing yeoman's duty this morning, getting everybody lined up for me, and I believe right now we're going to talk to a very, very good friend of mine that absolutely has provided so much of a service to my lunch bunch every month, and that's Thomas over at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Thomas, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, Zeb. Good morning, and hope you're well.
I am, and I should issue an apology to you from me and my wife for calling so early in the morning this morning to get you up.
You're fine.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's...
Being woken in the middle of the night.
Well, I know you probably are, but...
8 and under, so...
Oh, my goodness. Let's talk a little bit. I want to do all I can to help my people that are on my program, and you're such an important part with Denny's, America's Diner. What are the changes that the public needs to know that they can still have and order the great food at Denny's? Tell us about what you're offering and what you can do.
Isn't it crazy? America's Diner is always open is Denny's motto, and here we are in this crazy time.
Absolutely.
We did close our dining rooms yesterday. We actually had planned to do it before we received the word from the governor of the state, but saw the writing on the wall and felt like that was our duty. So we are open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. for online ordering on Denny's.com. You can find us there, or on our app, Denny's On Demand, and carry out as well. Phone in. Anyone from the bunch could phone in and order their favorite, and we'll make sure and have it prepared, and we could even deliver it out to their car curbside, or they can come in and still walk in. The doors are open. We just aren't open to dining. And then as well as third-party, Denny's right now is partnered with all the third-party delivery companies. There's a DoorDash in town that they can, if they do the online order and pay online, they get free delivery. I'm sure that's within a certain demographic for a distance from the store, but they're doing everything we can to try to make sure folks know we still love to feed people. We're still wanting to be there and available as a service, but we know a big part of it is people come in and socialize, and we wish we could do that better, but we have to be responsible and keep our distance, I guess.
I want to urge all my lunch bunchers that we get together at Denny's once a month and have a great gathering. I want to urge all of you folks to call Denny's Restaurant and order your meals. They've got the curbside service. As he said, they'll run the meal out to you. Call them at 678-8786 and or go to Denny's.com. Please, let's not let our advertisers and sponsors suffer in this time of need when we can all work together, and it might change things a little bit, but still do business with some great folks over at Denny's Restaurant. Anything else, Thomas?
No, I really appreciate that, Zeb. We, it's obviously going to have an effect on our economy and where we were. We were living prosperity for however many years now since we've had a downturn, but Denny's in Twin Falls and Burley, Idaho, I can rest you assured we're not going anywhere. We'll be back as soon as they'll let us. And but in the meantime, please, we appreciate the support, and we want to make sure and be available for anybody. So
God bless you.
But keep our heads up. We know we'll get through it, and and I guess we'll learn something from it.
I want to tell you how much we appreciate you. And once again, folks, this is Thomas at Denny's Restaurant. And we're going to keep telling everybody every day about calling and supporting you, either with the curbside service, call ahead, make an order, or go to Dennys.com. All of these ways to really enjoy great dining from Denny's Restaurant. Thomas, God bless you, man. Thanks much.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Zeb.
You bet. Take care. I am going to do all I can on this program to further and promote these businesses because we need them. The community needs them. It's all a great big family intertwined for success, and so I'm going to do all I can. Want to remind you, too, about my friends over at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They open the doors at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday. Number to call, 678-0459. I'm telling you, they've got all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and are waiting to serve you. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In a few minutes, my dear friend Wheels is going to have more of some of our advertisers that we could get a hold of this morning. And if you don't hear all of them on the air, it's because we were having some trouble getting through or whatever, but we're certainly going to try to talk to each and every one of them about the guidance for the statewide stay-home order from Governor Little. Stay at home, self-isolate, essential facilities and services are open, and therein is a kind of a gray area that still, after reading this and looking at it, it's kind of hard to understand and ascertain what are essential or non-essential. Basically what they've got on this list: essential facilities open are grocery stores, that's a gimme, healthcare facilities, gas stations, pharmacies, essential state and local government functions, laundromats, laundry services, financial institution, meaning banks, residential and home-based care, veterinary services, hardware stores, etc., etc. And if you know of anything that needs to go on the list this morning, please give us a call. Some of the non-essential facilities that will be closing, according to this sheet, include indoor gyms, recreational facilities, nightclubs, bars, entertainment venues, convention centers, hair and nail salons, public events and gatherings, dine-in restaurants, drive-through, carry-out, etc. is still going to continue. And we will try to provide to you anything and everything that we can when we learn of it, or get somebody to call in regarding a certain subject. So, again, I want to reiterate that calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I had a call before the program started this morning, and I don't know where the caller got this information, but what I have checked on, I have not found anything that is going to allude to the fact that it will happen, okay? I had a call, and the caller said Idaho is going to be closing all the in and out roads on its borders. I have not heard this, and I don't think it's true. Could it happen? Possibly. But right now, I don't even think that's part of the Governor Brad Little statewide guidance for combating this coronavirus. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. It's been a long time since I got to tell you good morning, but good morning.
Yes, sir.
I've been traveling around, driving truck. There's a lot of places that the hysteria of the people itself is causing more problems than this whole virus deal altogether. I'm pretty sure you've talked about it, but even rest areas are running out of toilet paper because people go in there and steal the whole roll.
Oh, my.
The truck stops are just some of the best truck stops I usually like to visit are all closed down but one side. Instead of having a trucker's lounge, that's closed down. The restroom, just one restroom on the other side's open, and usually they have very minimal toilet paper to use there, and food at a truck stop. People will drive in from a big city and clean it out. Then what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Kind of frustrating.
We have an extreme amount of feedback on this call this morning, Riley. I apologize, but in adjacency and in conjunction with what you're talking about, I did hear from a call that I made earlier this morning to a gentleman that helps me line up a lot of guests back in New York for this program. There was an idea bandied around at the truck stops and other areas that before using, and I hate to be crass and sound uncouth on this morning, but before using restroom facilities, they were thinking about in certain areas the people going in and buying toilet tissue and certain amounts, whatever, and that's all that would be provided. Have you heard this?
I haven't heard it and I haven't seen it, but I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, if the state for the rest areas have to buy the toilet paper, and every 20 minutes they're turning around because someone keeps stealing the toilet paper, and same with truck stops, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't surprise me one bit, but no, I haven't seen it and I haven't heard it.
Well, drive safe out there, my friend, and God's blessings to you, and I certainly hope that everything, and for everybody, this is a short-lived problem, but we're going to try every day on this program to highlight and feature some of the things that need to be said to you, the public out there, traveling on the highways and byways as essential personnel. Thank you so much for your call this morning.
I got one other thing for you, is doing a lot of traveling. I'm seeing a lot of people leaving, like last Monday I was up towards the Boise Mountain Homeway. You want to be surprised how many people were leaving that city with campers and trailers.
Wow.
I don't see the point in you leaving the big city with your camper and trailer and taking your buddies and friends with you, and just stay where you're at. You're going to keep it where you are. Don't be spreading around in the southern part, in the open areas, I should say, you know?
Yeah.
But I'll let you go.
All right, Riley. Thank you, and drive carefully. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Magic Valley Irrigation. Hello, Jeff. I'll tell you, this is a busy time of the year. Springtime, and Magic Valley Irrigation is right now. They're ready. I mean, they've been geared up, and they're ready for irrigation season. They look forward to serving all the farmers in this spring irrigation season with the best of U-bends, handline risers, Healy arc welding, all the pumps, manufacturing wheel lines, elbows, and so much more. They have experts over there working for them and serving you at Magic Valley Irrigation. I'm going to give you a couple of numbers to call, 678-3101 or 431-3101. Jeff and Magic Valley Irrigation. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. The panic buying is just absolutely stupid. And I think there are people that, you can't even get fresh vegetables anymore because people are panic buying. And then I wonder what they're going to do with them because they can't eat them that fast. They're stuck with garage fulls of stuff that they've hoarded.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do with it? Because selling it online is not going to work. And, it's just absolutely, I think it's a temptation. But if we call ourselves Christians and we do something like that, it is not thinking about our brother, not sharing with others. And, we need to trust. I love your words this morning. Pray, be still and know God, and try to come closer to God and practice those things that we know that our country was founded on, that were Christian values, helping each other.
Yes.
And thank you for what you are doing.
Well, I appreciate that, Linda, and I'm going to keep on doing this on a daily basis because, you know, your neighbor may own a restaurant. Your neighbor may own some tire facility. Your neighbor may own a veterinary clinic. Your neighbor may own a clothing store. And all of these people are so important and intertwined into the success of our communities that we are going to do all we can to make sure that they're highlighted and offer what they can offer still to the public, even with some of these closures and shutdowns.
Right. And, you know, I'm really pleased to hear that Denny's is on DoorDash because DoorDash is a good service. My son worked for them for a little while before he found his job permanently that he has now. But they really are a nice service because you can use their app and they will, you pay on the app and then they bring your food.
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you something.
I told one the other day, you know, right now, this is a really great service. And he said, you know, I was thinking about that just recently. And he said, I'm so glad I'm doing this job.
Well, I'll tell you what, there are so many people that are serving others that we want to highlight them. Linda, you've always served other people, and I appreciate your very, very nice and candid remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Wheels, I'm going to ask you to jump on. Do we have Cody possibly a few minutes early over at Barry's or not?
I was just going to call him as you speak, sir.
Very good. I'll let you go. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We've got a lot of news to talk about, too. I want to talk, if I get some moments here in the next little bit, about a shocking, disgusting, pathetic video that I saw on television last night. It just rocked me back on my pockets as I was watching a video in San Francisco of a theft of products and produce in a store by two people that just literally were taking armloads of different products and dumping them in big bags, and they walked out of the store while others were watching, including store management and store personnel. Nothing was done about it. Nothing. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. One of my concerns is, will China get a free pass as far as our trading partners go when this thing is over? Are they going to get a pat on the back?
I doubt it, and I'm going to say this with some reserve because I don't think the Trump administration is going to let this pass. I honestly think there are enough senators that have common sense and congressmen that have common sense that are going to look at, let's use the pharmaceutical products as an example. I think they're going to say to China, that's it, no more. You're not going to have control over our meds. We are spending over $180 billion with a B, $180 billion a year for China to process our medication. That's got to come to a screeching halt right now.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if I see a product on a shelf that says made in China, it's going to stay there.
Well, I feel the same way, and my wife and I have been very adherent to the fact that we will not buy foreign goods. I certainly won't buy any food that's been processed over in a foreign country. I'm a Buy American guy, and I don't care who likes it, who's offended by that. That's the way it's going to be.
Well, I was looking for a pair of cowboy boots, and I see so many of them made in China, China, China.
Well, and you ought to try on some of the clothes. As of recent, many clothing stores have realized that with our shipping all these sewing of different fabrics and shirts, etc., jeans over to the foreign countries, they basically try to gear things and size things and sew things for people of their stature, which are smaller. And I wear a 36-inch sleeve length and a 19-inch neck, and I'll tell you what, I haven't bought many shirts lately. I can't find anything that fits.
Well, maybe you're just a husky guy.
Well, we'll see about that. Tony, God bless you and Mary. Thank you so much for your call.
Okay, buddy.
All right.
Bye.
I think at this time, Wheels has got our friends over at Barry Equipment and Rental on the phone. Is that right, Wheels?
Yes, sir.
You are doing a good job, Wheels. I'm proud of you. We're talking to Cody over at Berry Equipment and Rental real quick. And Cody, with all these stoppages, shortages, and closures now with Brad Little, our governor, with the stay-at-home order, how has this affected Berry Equipment and Rental? Because we want to help our advertisers all we can. I mean, what can we do to help you?
Yeah, so really right now, I guess, they're considering us as essential, I guess. So we are still open for business as usual. Nothing has really changed for us. We want to make sure that we're here for everybody that needs us. We still have all of our equipment ready to rent, and so we're still business as usual right now until we're told otherwise.
All right, now give us a little bit of the parameters. You've got everything over there for the lifting and the digging and the pushing and everything. You've got a brand new inventory, I understand, for this year at Berry's. Quickly tell us about it.
Yeah, so Bobcat has come out with their new models of skid steers and mini excavators. So it's not a ton different from the models that everybody is used to, with our T model, T650, T740s, things like that. They are now just a shorter number, like a T76 model. They've made some new adjustments and things like that, some improvements on them. But as far as the ability to do the same things, I mean, they're basically pretty much the same way to run them. People that have been comfortable running them, the older models, won't have any problems running these newer models. They've just made a few improvements to make them more efficient.
All right. Listen, man, I just will do anything I can on my program to help you and Berry Equipment and Rental and all of our advertisers. So if there's anything that comes up that you need publicized or broadcast, you let us know. Okay, Cody?
We will do that. We really appreciate you, Zeb.
All right, my friend. You take care. God bless, and keep supplying the customers with all the equipment they need at Berry Equipment and Rental. Thank you so much.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Good people over there. A little feedback on the line there, but I just want to say thank you to Berry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. I feel like I'm in the middle of a Chinese fighter drill right now. Oh, we're not supposed to mention Chinese or China anymore. Well, we're not politically correct for it, so we're not going to worry about that. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Another of the businesses that I would absolutely term essential, and that would be, of course, our friends over at Dino Septic Service. Wheels, are they ready to go?
We're ready to go.
Ken, how are you, my friend?
Good. How are you this morning, Zeb?
Well, I wanted to ask you and get you on the air because I know that people are wondering who's open, what services are available, etc. Well, Dino Septic Service, I mean, when you're talking about septic tank pumping or liquid waste removal or water and sewer lines installed, you guys are really essential 24/7, I would imagine. Anything that's going to change or something we can do to highlight your business in a better way to the audience this morning?
There's not a lot different, Zeb. We're as a team, we're just being very, very careful about what we're doing, and it's got to be done. Can't just sit home and let it go by. So we're just trying to be as safe as we can be. And the one thing I would like to ask the public is to be as safe with us as you can be, and give us a heads up if there is anything we need to know.
You know, that point right there is absolutely primary. I mean, if you're going to someone's home and they may have had some kind of an illness or contracted something, and before you do the job for them, if you could just please, audience, let your advertisers and sponsors of this program know that there's a physical problem, it would save a lot of headache and heartache for everybody. What are the hours that they can reach you over there, Ken, for Dino Septic Service?
We can be reached 24/7. It doesn't mean we'll move right then, but we will be out ready to go 24/7.
We're coming into a time, and correct me if I'm wrong, the springtime, where you're really going to be out and about probably a lot more than you were in the winter frozen ground months. And so if anybody knows they have a problem that needs to be rectified, call a couple of days early if possible and make sure that you get on the list, correct?
Correct. That'll help us out a lot. But as a rule, probably 95% of our calls are emergency calls. We have about 5% that, are people scheduling things, but that's what we're here for.
I want to tell you how much I appreciate your business on this program, and we're going to urge everybody to remember Dino Septic Service, and the numbers are 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638, and in Twin, 735-8281. And I can attest to this, fast, fair, friendly service, Dino Septic Service. Ken, God bless you, man. Keep on going. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Zeb.
Thank you, sir. I absolutely am going to keep on doing this with all of our advertisers going into next week so that we can let you know who they are, what they're doing, and their availability. And through this time of essential or non-essential, whatever, with the shutdown, basically for about 21 days from the governor, you need to know all this stuff so that you can work with the best, and that's, of course, my advertisers. Thank you so much. Right now, let's take a look here. Right now, it looks like the Senate passed that $2 trillion bill, and I was really shocked that last night, I don't think I've seen this happen maybe in my lifetime. It went through 96-0. What? Yeah. Bipartisan support, 96-0 in the Senate for this $2 trillion stimulus bill. But, there's a little caveat here. Now it goes to the House. It's at the House right now. And the House said they're going to vote on it tomorrow, but there is a little ripple in the water that the Wicked Witch of the West, and when I said witch, I said it very articulately with a W, that she might try to get back some of the candy and some of the changes on that bill that would further promote the left Democrat viewpoint. I hope not. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. There is more pork in that bill than there is in a sausage patty at Falls Brand.
But I'm going to put a caveat on that, though, and a but with a ... But not as bad as it was initially.
I know it. It is so terrible that the people we elect and pay to represent us and do what's right for our country take the lobbyists and the special interest groups more important than the people that pay their wages.
Yeah. I mean, when you have $25 million going to the Kennedy Center, right now in this time of stress and need for the American public to stay afloat, I don't give, and I'm going to say this, one damn about the Kennedy Center for Fine Arts having more money.
Well, the Kennedy Center shut down. They can't have anything going on.
Bingo.
I mean, they can only have a crowd of 10 in the building, and that's including the performers.
Boy, those tickets are going to have to be expensive to pay the light bill.
I know it. It is ridiculous what they're done, what they put in this bill. I mean, every American is glad that they're stepping up and taking care of us, but every American should be upset with what is put in this bill. And I've read, and I'm trying to find out if it's true, I've read a couple places pretty reliable, that they've even put in a raise for themselves.
This just solidifies the fact that when I condemn Congress and the Senate, and I will never back up, they deserve a condemnation. Would you care to tell me, honestly, and I know that some people are saying, Zeber, that's just politics. No, it's not. It's a crime and it's sinful. That if they're going to have a stimulus bill, Why? To help stimulate business, keep business in effect, and help those that own the businesses and the employees stay in business and be productive members of our society. Why do you need pork on there about green energy and airplane emissions and something to do with the tax on solar panels? Come on, Doug. This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And like I say, every American that pays taxes should be outraged at what they've done. What the Democrats held a gun to the president's head and the people that were trying to put through just a package to take care of Americans. They've held a gun to their head, said, we're not going to back this unless you do this for us. Isn't that quid quo pro or whatever that?
Quid pro quo, yeah.
Isn't that? I thought that was illegal.
Here's the deal.
President Trump for doing it. Why aren't they upset at themselves?
Absolutely. Here's the deal. And I've heard this on the air with some of our own representatives and senators. When you ask them about a potential problem that was passed through the Senate or the House, they go, well, I wasn't in favor of it. Well, wait a minute. I appreciate your vote for common sense, but did you stand up on your desk and rail and gather others into your fold so that you could attack this nonsense and stop it? No, they didn't.
No, they just voted against it. So, I mean, yes, it's terrible what they've done to us back there. But you tell me a government program that has been put in place to help people, when has it stopped?
Yeah, I'm very concerned right now. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. I am very concerned, Doug. $2 trillion. $2 trillion. And then it came out this morning that maybe 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 months down the road, we might have to do it again. We are getting ourselves further and further caught in the bear trap that I don't think we can ever get out.
Exactly. And the government program, I mean, they don't have a sunset clause on this thing. There's no end to it that I know of, that this is going to last 3 months and then it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get real, folks. Let's call our senators and congressmen and say, okay, now that we've got this done, let's get down and get in the dirty, get in the mud, and get some of this pork out of that.
Amen. Doug, always appreciate it. Real quick about the seniors, and then I got to run. I'm running late.
Everybody, let's do what we can for senior centers. I know they're not open to go eat there, so you can't have a full tummy and a full heart. But you can still have a full heart by donating and helping the Meals on Wheels.
Absolutely. By the way, you forgot to call me the other day.
I did too, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Take your gold star off the wall, turn your chair around in the corner, and sit there for an hour, okay?
Okay, I'll stay at home for 20 days.
Okay, see you later. Thank you. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please, quickly, and then I've got to go to the weather forecast.
Yes, Doug just touched on something I was going to bring up. There is no end in sight. I'm afraid once they get this rolling, it'll never end. It'll be just one of those on-rolling deals. And the other part is, was not in favor at all of them signing it unless it was just clean, cut, and dry. This is to help the people. No pork added, nothing else, no other crap, just this.
Yeah.
And if it's not that, then don't. I mean, it's just, you're going to get us one way or the other. They might as well just not even do it.
I couldn't agree more, Riley. Thank you so much for calling back in. You're spot on. Thank you very much. For some reason, the phone lines this morning, Wheels, we're getting an awful low on the callers coming to me and a little feedback. So if you can ride that a little bit more, I'd appreciate it. Right now, my good friend Wheels, and he has done a tremendous job this morning of lining up various phone calls. We're going to be talking to the lovely Christine Pickup over at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Christine, are you there?
I'm here.
I've only got a couple of seconds, but I want to tell you first of all that we appreciate your sponsorship of the weather this morning at this time, and we also appreciate the wonderful job that you and your staff do at Mount Harrison Audiology. Are there any changes or anything you need to alert the public about now that we have basically Governor Little's stay-at-home order? I mean, what does it do to affect you, or what do we need to let the public know?
So So what we are doing right now is encouraging you all to stay home. We are going to close our doors but still have our phones open, and we're doing a drive-up clinic. So if you are having trouble with your hearing aids or you need supplies, you can call us before you come. We'll meet you out the back door and get you what you need if your hearing aids aren't working. Even if you bought them somewhere else, we're calling our office line is now our hotline, hearing hotline. So if any of you are having trouble, reach out, and we have supplies for all the major manufacturers. We have support. We're still, we're keeping our doors closed because we have employees that need to be protected as well. Every one of us has someone close to us, whether it's a child or a spouse that are in that high-risk category. So I need to protect my family and my employees, but we also want to take care of you guys still. So that's kind of how we're handling things. We are exploring online education options, different things, online consults, so that while we're staying distance, we're still staying close. So we're working on some great, exciting opportunities so that we can share information, educate, reach out. We're calling the patients just to check on them because we love them. And we're doing all that we can to support our community.
Let me ask you this, Christine. You've been on this program for a long, long time. Give the audience, in your verbiage, the best ways they can get a hold of you, the telephone numbers, website, anything. Please give us that information.
Absolutely. Our phone number is 208-312-0957, and that is our new hotline for anyone who is having trouble with their hearing. Doesn't matter if you came to us first or not. So again, that's 208-312-0957. Our website is MountHarrisonAudiology.com, and Mount is MT, so MTHarrisonAudiology.com. And I'm in the process of putting together a simple online shopping where you can actually go on our website, go to our little shop, and you can order supplies if you don't want to call. Or if there's some things that we keep in the clinic that you need, it's another way that you can reach out. Or even we're going to have some gift certificates available. So if you want to keep supporting us, I'm doing everything I can to keep my employees employed.
Absolutely.
So if you feel like you can buy a gift certificate for a future visit, that would be amazing.
And one thing I want to stress is that if there are people in the audience that have noticed the diminishment in the hearing, and yesterday we learned all about the stay-at-home order, don't worry. There is still many ways, to get a hold of Mount Harrison so they can make sure that you are not going to see a degradation of your hearing. Is that a good thing for me to say or not?
That is a good thing to say. One option that we're looking at doing, so with everything changing, the health privacy rules have been suspended, and so we can actually do a face-to-face, not face-to-face in person, but a FaceTime or a Zoom call. So we could do all of the preliminary stuff that we do at a first visit. So we would go over your medical history, answer any questions that you have, get to know you better, and then send you email, send you documentation and stuff to get you all ready for when we can do an in-person visit.
Absolutely.
And for people that, we also have emergency visits. So on a case-by-case visit, if it's something that we really feel is a medical emergency, we will do what we can to do all the things we were doing last week. So checking temperatures, reviewing medical history, everything, whether you've been exposed, but doing everything we can to protect people and still get them in the office. My biggest concern right now is I don't have access to masks.
I see.
For my employees to stay safe. So we've got to get a few logistics things worked out, but we are doing everything we can to make sure that people are still cared for.
I have had the opportunity to work with this lady for a long time on this program, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. Number to call, 208-312-0957. Christine Pickup, God bless you for coming on the air this morning. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Just everyone out there, be safe. Know that we care. We are so thankful for all the support from our community.
There you go, Christine. Thank you so much. And with that being said, they bring you the weather. Here's Gina.
Looks like Mother Nature is going to bestow upon us some sunshine and warmer temperatures. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. We are expecting mostly sunny skies with a high of 45. A little bit of a breeze out of the west, gusts as high as 23 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear with a low of 25 by Friday. Mostly sunny, 47. Looks like sunny skies and 52 for Saturday, Sunday. Slight chance of rain showers in the afternoon with a high of 52. Then by Monday, mostly sunny, 56, 63 for Tuesday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, and brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Thank you very much. I was mentioning earlier, and I saw this on television, and I hope many of you saw it too, a video where two people went into a store and they took huge bags, and the one was just literally taking his arm and elbow and just raking products off the shelf into the bags. Meanwhile, this is in broad daylight in San Francisco. And meanwhile, the other one's doing the same thing, and they are filling up these huge bags. And they fill it up, turn around, and casually walk out of the store while store personnel and other onlookers just were like, what's going on here? Well, now in San Francisco, listen to this. This is so ridiculous. Law enforcement is not doing anything about what they call the lower crimes like store theft. You can go into a store and rob them blind. And nobody's going to do anything. There's not any prosecution. This is anarchy. This is anarchy. I sat there, and maybe I'm getting all hyper about this and it doesn't bother you, but I can't imagine walking into a store, whether it's Burley Paul, Twin Falls, Jerome, anywhere, and just raking off the stuff in a bag and nonchalantly walking out knowing that the police aren't going to prosecute or nobody's going to do anything to you. Is that what America's coming to? And had somebody done something, whether it was store personnel or whatever, going over and literally tackling these vermin, knocking them to the floor or knocking them out, I wonder if there wouldn't have been some kind of an assault charge filed against the store personnel, for crying out loud, as goofy as our society is getting. These people that own stores and are store managers and whatever the situation, I mean, my goodness, now they're going to be subjected to, oh, well, that's a low-quality crime, just petty shoplifting or whatever. Are you kidding me? Maybe you're not offended by this, but I am. And if it's going to be happening there, it's soon going to start happening here. And everywhere across the United States. My goodness. Chaos and anarchy are allowed to flourish in this, the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. What about our legal system? What about our laws? What about our respect? Caller, good morning. Help me calm down, please.
Well, yeah, you know how people tell you to calm down and you're in a very serious situation? It never works.
I know.
So, calm down, man. It's all right. Chill out. Well, it ain't going to help. So, I know you'll just get over it. Hey, you know, as far as his trucks are concerned, and I know he already cleared it up, but they can't close the border because the trucks have to get through to get to the grocery stores. If we close the grocery stores, you know, that is, well, I don't know how to define it. Now, did you listen to Governor Little's press conference? I haven't. I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to do anything with it. Did you feel that this was a necessary move in his part?
You're asking me a personal opinion on a issue. No. I'm going to give you an answer, Randy. I don't hedge on anything. I think at this particular time, with most of the cases of coronavirus that have been ascertained as coronavirus in Blaine County, and then a few here and there at other counties, one in Cassia County, to my knowledge, one in Twin Falls County, I don't think with the cases of under 100 cases in the state of Idaho that it was necessary at this time. No, I do not.
Well, I don't know if he's getting pressure from Blaine County, and maybe there's people up there, that have, said, applied the heat as far as, paying, donating to his reelection fund. I'm really quite concerned that he's being behind the scenes, he's being forced.
Well, let me interrupt you here for a second, Randy, and I'm not trying to be rude to you at all, because you can look at your watch and see I'm almost out of time, and I want to say this. Right. Nobody ever stopped anybody from Blaine County coming down and playing golf at various golf courses here in Magic Valley. Nobody ever stopped anybody from Blaine County coming down here and exposing a lot of people to this virus by shopping at various and sundry stores in Twin Falls area. I mean, it seems to me like there should have been more of an in-county response first and foremost before we had a nation or a statewide shutdown.
Well, Washington's not even shut down, and neither is Utah.
Yeah.
And I was in Utah yesterday. I find it unnecessary, and I just don't understand what he's thinking. Sometimes I wonder if Brad's, getting squeezed and he's given in. I can't make that. I can't make that assumption. I can't make that assumption until I talk to him personally, of which we're going to try to do. And Randy, I got to run. Wood on, and maybe you could go over this better, because I respect Fred.
We are going to next Monday.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
We're going to have time. Yeah, okay.
I got to run. Thank you. I want to remind you about your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Now, I have had a chance to talk to these wonderful people, and they are doing all they can, believe me, over and above what they need to do or should do. I mean, they are absolutely increasing all the cleaning and disinfecting efforts at their stores, and everything is ship-shape, to say the least, and they welcome your business. They are doing everything they can to serve you at all 7 locations. Right now, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers are having a huge spring tire sale, and I urge you to stop in and see them for the tires you need for spring and summer safe driving. All the tread designs, all the sizes, of course, for all the vehicles, cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, the list goes on. These are wonderful people serving you. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I'm late, got to run to the news. I'll be right back. Oh, and away we go. Hour number 2 on this Thursday, March 26th, Zev at the Ranch, and we're very, very thankful of our major sponsor of our program, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They care, and they provide a great service to you. They're having a great big spring tire sale going on right now at all 7 locations. Don't forget, too, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. We're going to talk about them in just a second at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Want to remind you, too, about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I can tell you that I've been in conversations with Nick, and we've had quite a few calls between each other. They are absolutely serving you at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. They have people right there in the business location of Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation that are absolutely ensuring that everything is clean, sanitized, and ready for you to go in and get the necessary work that you need done to help you get back to being you, with all the exercises, the use of the hydrotherapy pool, etc. I urge you to call, more so now than ever, and really talk to the professionals that are trying to keep you healthy and get you going again. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And also, quickly before we get Penny on the phone this morning, I want to remind everybody about Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Hello, Joel Heward, manager, family, staff, all of these folks over there are serving you, believe me. And they always provide the families that they serve with the best possible and support and comfort at a very, very tumultuous time. So remember, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our Chamber of Commerce report from the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce. And with us this morning is the president and CEO, and that's Penny Main. Good morning, Penny. How are you?
Good morning, my friend, and how are you?
After the first hour on this program, I am busier than a three-legged cat in a sandbox.
Yes, indeed. We are busy, too, and I was just listening, we're so blessed in this area to have such good people doing good business every day, and I listen to your, the people who continue to support your program, like, Burley Physical Therapy and Joel Heward and all those really good folks. And gosh, we just wish them well during this kind of unusual way of doing business for right now. Hopefully it's going to be very temporary, but we're having to adjust to a new norm, that's for sure.
Let me ask you this, Penny, and I want the audience to know up front. I want to be as forthright and transparent as possible that you and I talked about this yesterday, and non-essential or essential services. Now, I'm just going to say this and then correct me if I'm wrong, but when you look at a Chamber of Commerce, a liaison between the community, citizens, etc., and the businesses themselves, I would term you as essential. What is the terminology as far as you see it?
Well, I sent you over a document earlier, and I don't know if you've had the chance to review it yet, but it's interesting. I just came in early this morning, and interestingly enough, essential services is really quite extensive. And I'm going to put this out here really quick. Now, everybody may not be able to pick up on this right away, but I'm going to say it once and then I'll repeat it again, because this is actually a full and complete list of what is deemed essential. Just bear with me here. So, https://coronavirus.idaho.gov/content/uploads/sites. Now, that is overwhelming. Probably no one was able to comprehend that, but I will be here at the Chamber all day today if you want me to send you that link. But it's rather extensive. I mean, healthcare operations, essential infrastructure, these folks are municipalities, et cetera, other essential services like child care and plumbers, electricians, those kinds of folks. The news media, of course, you knew that already. Education, they're asking for people to draw to the State Department of Education's website for more details. Essential financial services, banks, credit unions, etc. Anyway, the list goes on, and down at the bottom there is an entry, number 9, other essential services. And we do fall in a rather ominous place. It's businesses that supply other essential businesses with support. Yep. And that basically is what the Chamber of Commerce does, right? I mean, you and I talked briefly again yesterday afternoon, and once that mandate came out, we had, I don't know how many texts hit my own personal cell phone, as well as we got lots of calls from folks all over the area, what does this mean, what does this mean? And so we're trying to filter through it too. But I think we all need to be really, really mindful that, and again, I know you've been shouting this as well as we all have. We do have to be prudent. But we do have to take care of each other. And so we need to kind of, try to understand this mandate and what it actually means and try to respect that. But the Chamber of Commerce, our doors are closed to the public. That is primarily for the safety of my staff. We will be working every day. One of us will be in the office. The other two are going to be working from home. But we will be here and we will be available to be that support element for business. That's just critical right now.
What I did in the first hour in its entirety, I don't know if you had a chance to listen or not, but I
did not, friend. I did not. I was in here, just trying to get my business in order early this morning, so I apologize.
Well, no, that's all right. What we did is we called as many of our first hour sponsors and advertisers as we could, and we put them on the air for about maybe 90 seconds to 2 minutes and let them in their own words say how this affects them and what they're going to do to try to offer their services to the public. And I think that you, as a Chamber of Commerce, I think you're very essential because you'd be doing the same thing, as I said a minute ago, being a liaison between the community and the business. Well, we're going to keep on doing this again next Monday at the beginning of our week and the beginning of our program to make sure that if there's any changes of any and all the advertisers that need to change their advertising status, the public's aware of it.
Well, and our new theme around here is that we just adopted this week before last when we could see the writing on the invisible wall at that point, and we're doing this primarily on social media, but our theme here at the Chamber is put your money where your heart is. And really what it boils down to is again, supporting local businesses, especially those who are in business and have their doors open. I just think it's really essential. If you need to grab a meal, use their curbside offers. Take advantage of their drive-thrus. People are still up and running. I mean, it's just going to look different for a while, and I don't think it's any secret that this is going to affect us to some degree from a financial perspective. It's just kind of an unusual time. I mean, I've known you for a long time, and you've known me for a long time, and I'm a pretty faithful person, and I try not to panic or worry too much. But even for somebody like me, who I feel is pretty well convicted in my faith, I've kind of just had this little thing in the middle of my gut, that just that little bit of anxiety and angst, wondering what this exactly is going to look like long term. But at the end of the day, I still think we need to suit up and show up and do what we can, right?
Absolutely. Very well stated, by the way. In other words, cowboy up.
In other words, friend, as you would know, as you do every single day, cowboy and cowgirl up.
There you go.
And we still have to, we still have to be mindful of this little sneaky thing called COVID-19. I mean, it's real. And so we do have to be mindful of that, and I just have to have enough faith knowing that, our leaders, not only in Washington D.C., but our local leaders here are taking good care of us and have our best concerns at heart, and I think that's really, really important. And another thing, I know it's easy for people to panic, and we've all seen it. It's no secret in these grocery stores, et cetera, et cetera. But the thing that keeps me awake at night, to be terribly honest, is that, there are people out there who really need help. And I think that old biblical term of love your neighbor, is really important right now. And although we do need to practice this social distancing, which for somebody like me is really hard because I'm a hugger by nature and it's been a nightmare, I'll tell you. But I do think we need to respect that. But I do think we need to look out for our neighbors. And if you have, an elderly neighbor or someone with challenges in your neighborhood, or maybe there's a mom, oh my goodness, these moms who have all these kids at home and are having to homeschool these children, if we have the opportunity to go to the market, let's get their cell phone number and call them and see if there's a way we can help them and assist them, for those of us who are able to do that.
Let me ask you something, and it just dawned on me when you were talking, and I don't know, I have ignorance on even thinking about this issue, but is there a hotline number that you know of that has been established maybe for some of our seniors that are basically almost shut-ins right now, that they can call and say, hey, we need this, a bottle of aspirin, or we need this, etc.? Is there a hotline centralized number?
I'm not fully aware of that right now, but I will get on top of that for you, and I will find a reply to that. I do know what's happening in a lot of places is a social media kind of aspect. So people are putting out on Facebook, I'm here to help, those kinds of things.
Okay.
Now, for people who are older and challenged, I do know, for instance, my sister-in-law, Gay Downs, takes care of an elderly woman in Burley. She really looks out. Her and Lonnie both really look out for this woman and keep an eye on her and take care of her. So I think people are really stepping up to the plate on that. I know the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare has been pretty active, as well as South Central Community Action Partnership. As far as one particular hotline number, Zeb, I'm not sure that's available, but I will look into that today and get back with you.
All right. Why don't we right now, in your most recent update, tell us some of the things that are pertaining to chamber business right now, if you would.
Right. Well, what we're trying to do right now, to be terribly honest, I mean, we have had to readjust our focus, obviously. We were very disappointed that we had to, of course, cancel our Women's Expo, which has been a very important event to us, but that was taking place on April 22nd, and due to the discretionary amount of people that we could have at the event, it far exceeded that, so we had to cancel that event. But we're working and we're keeping our fingers crossed because our big fundraiser is coming up June 17th, which is our annual golf scramble. We're really hoping that we can pull that off. We've already had some support, and I'm hoping by June 17th the place will be back to somewhat normal and people be ready to be out on that golf course and play some golf and help the chamber. In the meantime, our offices are closed to the public again for the safety of our staff, and we're just trying to be really mindful of that. But all three of us are diligently working. One of us is in the office each day. The other two are working from home, and we're kind of running a schedule right now. Our primary focus right now is to be a support system to local chamber members and business as a whole. And if there is something you need, please call us or send us an email at president@minnecassachamber.com. We'll do our best to respond as quickly as we can, but we are here to support local business, and we're wishing everyone well. That's for darn sure.
Well, I tell you what, I think that this conversation was necessary this morning, and that I think it acts as kind of a pacifier, if you will, to the businesses and also the community, that you, the CEO and president of the Minnecassett Chamber of Commerce, are on top of everything with the various businesses around the area. We're trying to do all we can here on the air, and I think the public should know that we'll try to get any and all information to them as quickly as it's presented to us.
Yes, well, and it's true, friend. And again, I appreciate you and all of my former colleagues in broadcasting. This is not an easy gig right now.
Oh.
And you know, I know that, and I know that you suit up and show up every day, and we're blessed by that for having some kind of a voice here in this kind of crazy upside down world. But you take care of yourself too, and anything I get, just between you and me, anything I get across the mail that I think is relevant for you, I will shoot you an email every time I get it.
I think we have to still maintain a semblance of normalcy. You know where I'm headed.
I do.
And I think a little semblance of normalcy would include a little laughter or laughing at each other. And so therefore, I am going to give you, as we have in the past, a trivia question so that you can try to break even. I think you are even because you did answer the last one correct. So now...
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
yeah.
But this is it. If you miss this one, you're either going to go ahead, which I find very interesting, or you're going to drop into the land of normal where you're always behind one or two, okay?
Okay, Well, go easy on me. This has been a tough week. Remember that love thy neighbor thing that I just, talked about? Keep that in mind, okay?
Okay, well, here we go then. Remember the TV show Father Knows Best?
Yes.
Okay, and the star of that show was Robert Young.
Yes.
Okay. What did they call the character's name, the youngest daughter? What was her nickname?
Oh, dang it.
No, that's not it.
No, I know. Oh, shucks. It was it Princess or something like that?
No.
Okay, dang. Oh, shoot. What was it, though? Tell me.
Kitten.
I gotta know.
Kitten.
Kitten. It was an animal. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I was just going down that wrong track anyway. But okay, so I'm behind I'm losing again, right?
You're behind, but with the great job you did and your dissertation this morning about businesses and everything, I'm going to go ahead and give you a star on the wall just the same.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Well, now let's end this morning by acknowledging the fact that you are one in the bucket, but you're ahead of everything as far as the curve is concerned by serving the public. Tell everybody the different ways that they can get a hold of the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, thank you so much, friend. So just temporarily right now, again, our doors are closed to the public, again, for safety of our staff and safety of the general public, obviously. With that said, we are still working. We are here. We are available. Please call us during the day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, at our phone number 208-679-4793. You can also reach out to us by email if that's helpful. And again, two options there: president@minikajachamber.com or info@minikajachamber.com. And again, we're busy. We're trying to stay on top of everything, but certainly we will get back to you as soon as we can.
Penny, I want to say in all seriousness, you're doing a great job over there. God bless you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll look forward to next Thursday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, friend. Have a great day. Say hi to Deanne. Bye.
I will. Penny Main, President, CEO of Minnecash Chamber of Commerce. Wow, busy morning this morning, and I want to remind you about some more of our great folks, like Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, my goodness. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And I want to get this out in front of you right now that the open house that they had planned for on April 3rd has been canceled, but don't forget, they have a showroom full of fun. All the four-wheelers, and I mean all the four-wheelers, my goodness, and all the accessories, and in their service department, they are providing now 15% off on all service until April 30th on your four-wheelers, etc. Get a hold of them today, 436-4771. Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Other folks that I want to acknowledge right now before we go to our next guest, and that's, of course, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Todd and the entire office really are dedicated, and I mean this, to serving you, and very devoted to helping you with your insurance, your health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more for you, your family, and your business. What does it take? Oh, it's just a phone number. Just a phone number to call and set up an appointment, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Joe Biden does not know when to keep his mouth shut. And Joe Biden is not very smart about the things that he lets escape his mouth. There must be a distance factor of communication between the brain and the mouth, because he has been caught in another outrageous lie. He made the comment when he was in a virtual roundtable answering questions from students, and he said, "When I left the United States Senate, I became a professor at the University of Pennsylvania." No, he didn't. He was never a in-house or on-campus professor at the University of Pennsylvania. That is a blatant lie. Joe did it again. And the American public has got to sit back and realize, has to, that when he blanks out and says these absolutely foolish and frivolously lies that he taught at the University of Pennsylvania. No, you didn't, and nobody's calling him on this stuff. He's getting a free pass. There are very few people that are ever saying anything to him at the time, like, excuse me, Mr. Biden, no. When you left the Senate, you went right away, of course, to become the vice president with the Obama administration. I do not understand how this man gets away with this. And with that vague, a deer in the headlights look on his face, do you really want to even consider voting for this man that's 77 now, will be strong 78 by the time the election is over, and he has no clue? He absolutely mentally is not worthy of consideration. And I don't mean that with any disrespect. It's the truth. He is not worthy of becoming the president of the United States. Let's see what else have I got cooking for you real quick. Here's the schedule. We're going to have Gregory Wrightstone on in just a very few minutes. And then later on this morning, we're going to be visiting with Cassia County School Days Dr. James Shank, the superintendent of schools. And we're going to have a little visit with Curtis over at Patterson's Electronics. And then at 10:32, the president of Americans, let me see, I want to get this right, AmericanCommitment.org. Phil Kirpin is going to be on talking about some of the things politicians are trying to do to take more of our money away. So all of that coming up. Right now, let's see if my Wheels, I want to compliment you this morning. I know that we put a real burden on you, and I want to thank Deanne and you for an excellent job of getting a lot of our advertisers on the air in that first hour. I know it kept you pretty busy, and thank you for your diligence.
You're very welcome, sir. You told me to stick with you and have patience with you, and we got to it. I'm glad.
A lot of people don't have patience with me, but you did. Hey, is our dear friend Gregory Wrightstone on the phone?
Yes, sir, he is.
Oh, thank you. We'll get him started right now. Good morning to the man that wrote one of the best doggone books around. And if you haven't got a copy of it, get a copy of it. Inconvenient Facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know, written by Gregory Wrightstone. Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Oh, good to be back on. Thanks so much. Thanks for the kind words. And just sheltering in place here.
Well, I think we all are. And
she works at our church, and she had to go back in and pick up some things so she can work from home remotely. There's some things they needed to get out. So, yeah, it's strange times we're in, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Greg, you wrote a piece called A Warming Light at the end of COVID-19 tunnel, and rather than me kind of pick it apart at first, I'd like you to give us a general synopsis about what you meant, a warming light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, there have been several really fascinating studies that have come out recently that really take some of my fear of what we're going through away from me. And it's this particular, that piece was written after the first of these studies that I saw came out, and they were talking about how the strong relationship between how the big hotspots early on. This was written, the study was done about 3 weeks ago, when it was bam, 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 we had hotspots, and at that point these big hotspots were really limited to a latitude, northern latitudes within a temperature and humidity range that they had picked out. And one of the key, I think the key statement that I saw coming out of this was they also looked at the cousins and the family of coronaviruses that have been studied in the laboratory settings. And it appears in the laboratory settings that these coronaviruses really only flourish in a fairly narrow temperature and humidity range. Particularly, they don't like high humidity and high temperature, which is kind of counterintuitive. You think, oh, well, warm and moist, they would thrive, but they really don't. And I think the key statement that was made in this study was talking about the seasonality of this family of coronaviruses. And here's what I'll just read what they said. They said that they have been shown to display strong winter seasonality between December and April. And here's the key: and are undetectable in summer months in temperate regions. Isn't that something? That these other, now again, this was not talking about COVID-19, but rather this, because they haven't done these studies yet, but rather the family of similar viruses. And so probably, when I look at this as a scientist, probably the most unlikely scenario is that this coronavirus would act differently than the others. And so what we may well see, and that's what the warming light at the end of the tunnel is, the fortunate timing of this in the United States. There are outbreaks occurring here at the beginning of spring, end of winter. And one scenario is that with the warming weather, the warm weather months, it acts like the other coronaviruses and kind of just goes away. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Let me ask you this, Greg, with your studies.
Pretty shortly.
With your studies, and you're so knowledgeable on these issues, but for a layman's terminology, I would say this. Does it go into it being the coronavirus? Does it go into a dormancy and then rears its ugly head, various flu strains being similar in the later fall going through the winter months? And will it be easier to combat if we can tie the vaccinations and or medications to our already injections for flu?
Well, that's an interesting question, and the answer is nobody knows. But if we look at H1N1 swine flu, when it broke out, this was in 2009, and it's still around, but it really hammered the population in 2009, and it was declared a public health emergency as well. Before it was over, actually, that particular one killed close to 600,000 people worldwide, and it affected the swine flu, affected about 60 million Americans during that. In the United States, almost 300,000 people were hospitalized, and in the United States, we had 12,000 died from it. So we have to there was another commentary that I just posted the other day about this, comparing what we're seeing now with the H1N1 swine flu virus. And so we're not near that yet. There could be, and again, going back to the first article I wrote, is the fortunate timing. Just think about this. If this reacts with strong seasonality like we think it might, it would have been bad if this came out in December, and then it could rage out of control for several months during the winter months. So it may be that the timing of this, as we go into the warmer weather months, will work to help us control it. So the more I learn and read about this, the more comforted. I'm not as scared as what I was 2 weeks ago before some of these other studies come out. And probably the most important, one of the interesting things was, I don't know if you've seen anything, maybe you're well versed on this, but I think you've probably talked about the Diamond Princess cruise liner and the data that came out of that. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am.
Excuse me?
I said yes, I've followed that story, not elaborately, but I have followed it, yes.
So it was probably a petri dish of virus that it's thought that most of the people in that cruise liner were exposed to the virus, but 83% of them didn't contract it. And the most encouraging part was that around 46% had no symptoms. So and everybody was tested. So we had a pretty good distribution. There was a 1% mortality, but if you look at the age distribution, most everybody on that cruise liner was 70, 80, 90, some were 90 years old, so the 1% mortality was probably strongly influenced by those elderly people that were on board. So if we get back, if that mortality gets down to what it was for some of these other viruses, down in the 0.1% range, it could well be that it'd be similar to these other flus, which are bad, but we don't shut the country down over them.
Right.
We don't, I just fear that the cure might be worse than the disease.
Absolutely. Greg, let me ask you a question, and I'm probably going to seem very naive when I ask this, but you're a scientist, I am not. The genesis of viruses in and of themselves. I mean, we're talking about COVID-19, and then we're talking about past COVID-2 with the SARS, etc. What about the genesis of these viruses? Can mankind be blamed somewhat for in-laboratory testing that these viruses may have become out of control, or are they mutations of the same initial virus? Give me a little explanation on that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to beg ignorance on that, because you probably know as much as I do there, and I'm not going to. I've read a lot of things where they're blaming that on genetically altered mutations that were created by the Chinese, but no one knows at this point. Those are theories. I don't know if we'll ever know, but it certainly they tell us from, and you probably your listeners have also read about these live meat markets with exotic animals in China that may act to spread the virus, because we know several of these viruses have come out of that same area of China. The Chinese government could probably put an end to that overnight if they wanted to.
I would find it very interesting.
Markets, I've seen some videos out of them.
I would find it very interesting if you'd elaborate a little bit on the warming temperatures, the warming climes, and what this means as far as the Al Gore types about how we have to cool everything down. We have to absolutely, through government control, stop global warming. Well, it sounds to me, and I've said for a long time, so have you, warmer climates are much better for the health and welfare of all populations around the world. How would you respond to all this?
Yeah, and actually I've got another. I've been busy writing commentaries, and I've got one that was just published 2 days ago, actually, at American Thinker. You can go find it. It's called Heat is Life, Cold is Death. Biden has it backwards. So Biden, he's got a plan for COVID-19, and his plan includes to manage the coronavirus, includes a promise to fight. Here's what he says. He's going to fight climate change as a driver of health threats. And he's going to do it by rejoining the Paris Climate Treaty on day one of his administration. And he went in his proposal, he stated the link between climate change and health security is well documented and will create a growing threat to Americans. Well, Joe, you're wrong about that. Because as you know, you and I have talked many times on your show here, and thank you for having me back on. I always like being with you, but we've talked many times here about the relationship between temperature and temperature-related mortality is completely opposite of what we're being told. We're being told that, oh my God, we can't let it get 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees warmer because we'll all die from this or that, and we're going to have famine. And you know that the relationship is just opposite. It's cold that kills a lot of people, and it's warmth that doesn't. And it's, if we look, there was a study in the United Kingdom and Australia. It took a big study. They concluded that 15 times as many people die due to cold as due to heat. The biggest study of its kind was Dr. Antonio Gasparini. They looked at 74 million temperature-related deaths around the Earth from 13 different countries. And their study showed that cold kills 20 times times as many people as heat. So it's not even close that a cooling Earth should be feared for increasing mortality more than a warming Earth. It stands to reason, if we look at the strong relationship between cold and mortality, that a warming Earth will necessarily save probably millions of lives. Again, just opposite what we're being told. Bring on the warmth. We see that these cold-related deaths, part of it's we have more flus and things again in the winter than we do in the summer, and so we should welcome the warmth, and we're also being told of dangers from extreme weather, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, extreme weather events are occurring more frequently. They're worse, they're bigger, hurricanes are more intense, there's more of them. Just, again, looking at the science, the facts, and the data tell us something completely different, in that extreme weather deaths in the United States, we have a pretty good case in study of that, they've declined 98%. 98% drop in extreme weather-related deaths since the 1920s. Now, of course, a big part of that is prevention, detection. Tornadoes kill a lot of people, and we have much better prediction capabilities, and we get out of the way better now than we did 100 years ago. But nonetheless, we continue to see extreme weather deaths fall year after year after year.
Let me ask you.
Bring on the warmth.
Absolutely. Greg, let me ask you this question. And I know it's kind of a far-reaching question, but where did we go wrong? Where did we start to change and alter science and scientific fact and replace it with a perpetrated thought that would be more control over the populace of the world with this global warming / climate change? I mean, if people would read your book and just go to the second chapter, for instance, carbon dioxide, the foundation of life, the food of plants, read it. It's put out in very, very understandable language. And then you listen to some of these people on CNN, and they do it every day. And they'll come out in the condemnation of CO2, and we're all going to die, and all this kind of thing. Where did science end and these people with their warped minds take over?
Boy, I get asked that. That type of question gets asked of me a lot. And one of the ways people ask it is, why are they doing this? Why are they lying to us? And as a scientist, I can show you, yes, this is what they're saying, and this is how they're wrong, and this is the evidence about why they're wrong. I'm not as clear as to why they're doing it. I mean, you're just as qualified as I am to say why they're doing it. Is it control? Is it a bunch of tax money? That a huge number. There's going to be huge revenue that'll be created by a carbon tax. We're going to have loss of freedoms. You have better control of the population. What they want is to be able to tell your listeners what they can and can't drive, how they can and can't live, how they get to work. All these things will be under their thumb, and the reason they're spreading this is they need a frightened population to act and enact things like the Green New Deal or the Paris Climate Accord. And thank God for Donald Trump. Just recently, again, he proved what a great leader he is by telling Nancy Pelosi no when she wanted to add on this stupid Green New Deal stuff to this bill that she's still holding up right now. She wanted to load it on with a carbon tax, and she wanted subsidies for wind and solar, and for everybody to go buy an EV, an electric vehicle. But he said no, and thankfully he did. They wanted to enact things there that will affect America for, when you enact new laws and regulations like that, they rarely go away.
One last question.
So I'll answer your question. It really started in the late 70s, but it really started kicking off with Al Gore and his movie and his book, Inconvenient Truth. But I'll tell you, Zeb, I'm optimistic. You know, we've talked a lot of times about getting this word out, and in fact, I just had a long phone call. I'm working with PragerU. I'm sure your listeners are familiar with the Dennis Prager and the videos that he creates, and they're in the process of creating some videos actually based on my book.
Wonderful.
Which will be fantastic. A lot of things going on to try and get the message out there.
It's got to start in the education area, and I'm almost out of time, and I want you to respond to this if you would, Greg. Pardon my interruption, but how are we going to transition and change what the kindergartners are listening to, the elementary school, the high school, the college, the universities, etc., with the far left, the sky is falling, Chicken Little syndrome, everybody, we're burning up? How are we going to change and transition that when we've got schools that absolutely won't let you in the door?
Yeah, it's a challenge to be overcome, and just keep working hard. People like you, get people like me on the air to talk about this. But part of this, I think it might be, we're getting a real good example, aren't we, of what America would look like if we got rid of fossil fuels. Go look out your front door. Go down to your main street and walk down the main street of your town, whatever town you happen to be nearby. Well, it's abandoned. That's what it's going to look like if we get rid of fossil fuels. They want to rein in America's vibrant economy. We need to have a growing economy. We need inexpensive, reliable, abundant energy, and that comes from fossil fuels. I mean, nuclear can provide reliable, abundant energy, but it's not it can't compete cost-wise with fossil fuels, coal, natural gas, and oil.
How's the book doing? Is it still selling as much as it should? Inconvenient Facts. And please tell my audience where they can obtain a copy.
Yeah, it was actually #1 bestseller in a couple of categories just this past weekend. It's down to, I think, number 3 or 4 on Amazon. You can go. Most people buy it on Amazon, so that's where you just search for Inconvenient Facts. We've had huge traffic on my website, which is inconvenientfacts.xyz. We're getting over 50,000 unique visitors every month to that. And so we post a lot of information, videos, blogs, get up to date. Go look for my recent commentaries on the coronavirus.
Gregory Wrightstone, please know that you're welcome anytime on this program. God bless you, and we'll have you back soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb.
All right. A man that I really trust, a man that I absolutely admire his book, and again, it's Inconvenient Facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. Gregory Wrightstone. I've got a copy of it right here in my hand, and you get a copy, and I've got every page almost dog-eared and highlighted, etc., and he just lays it out in a language and a verbiage that's so understandable and based on scientific fact, instead of all the you-know-what that the left tries to spew. We better get to the weather forecast, and our weather this hour is brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, and they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for over 50 years. I mean, they've been there, they've served you, they've kind of been there, done that, and still doing it. Absolutely, they are the professionals. Tax return preparation, tax planning, retirement planning, of course, all the financial statement preparation, all of this and so much more. You bet they're busy this time of the year. You can bet on it. Sleeves are rolled up and they've got the Eversharp going 100 miles an hour. And I urge you to get a hold of the pros to let them work for you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like Mother Nature is going to bestow upon us some sunshine and warmer temperatures. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. We are expecting mostly sunny skies with a high of 45. A little bit of a breeze out of the west, gusts as high as 23 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear with a low of 25. By Friday, mostly sunny, 47. Looks like sunny skies and 52 for Saturday, Sunday. Slight chance of rain showers in the afternoon with a high of 52. Then by Monday, mostly sunny, 56, 63 for Tuesday. That's a look at your weather forecast for us.
No, things are starting to get better. Bear with it, bear with it. 60s next week, she said. Our weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And boy, they are the professionals, and they can help people starting a business or a partnership, or maybe you want to expand, hire more people. All of this and so much more. Please get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. All I can say about the 21-day closure, if you will, or cutbacks, or stay-at-home order, let's all try. Let's all try to do our very best to not just drop in and see somebody. You know, that's one thing. Deanna and I are putting a sign on our back door. We appreciate your friendship. We appreciate you coming by to see us, but no. We're not, during this period of time, going to let you come on in the house and sit down and visit. We all need to adhere to this and try to stay kind of self-isolated. And let's get rid of this virus. Let's just get this thing stopped and go on with living. And go on with living. And to, again, all the sponsors and advertisers, I salute you for the outstanding job that you're doing in trying to transition your business and stay in business and still serve the public. God bless each and every one of you, and I mean that. Right now, I'm going to talk to you about some more businesses that if you're hungry and starving to death, oh, they're ready to serve you. Absolutely. Let's start with the AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley. They've got a drive-in, so absolutely they're not affected at all, and they're serving you. Oh, are they serving you with the best of shrimp and fries, fish and chips, and burgers of all types, including that, my favorite, the Farmer Brown burger and fries in the special sauce. Oh, it's so good. So good. AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. Let's move on over to the Taco Bandito at 2301 Overland in Burley. Now, the dining room is closed. However, they're doing DoorDash. You can go online and order, and also the drive-in is open. Oh, my goodness. I'm talking about super food at Taco Bandito. You got to try that breakfast burrito, scrambled eggs, bacon, or sausage, or a combination of both. Cheese, onions, tomatoes, and sauce on a tortilla shell. Woo! Knock your Tony Lamas off. Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Now, I'm drooling. I can't help it. I'm so hungry. Don't forget, too, Burgers, etc. Not one, but two locations serving you at 124 South Oneida in Rupert and also 700 Overland in Burley. And they're a drive-in, so they absolutely are serving you. No excuse not to go in and enjoy great food and visit with the nice people. And don't forget, they've got, again, all the sandwiches, and they've got, listen to this special, corn dogs and burritos for $1.29. You can't beat that. I'll tell you, they're waiting to serve you great menu choices at Burgers, etc. in Rupert and Burley. Well, last but not least, let's move on over to Steve-O's at 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Food made the way you love it, I'll guarantee it. You be sure and check it out today. All their menu choices are excellent, and they urge you to give them a call or stop in. The number to call, 679-3887 for Steve-O's. And don't forget, they've got the delicious buffalo burgers, and they've got the cheesy broccoli spuds. Oh, they're good. And, of course, they got cupcakes. I love cupcakes. A different flavored cupcake each week. And just serving you. Steve-O's, great food over in Hayburn. And those are just a few places to go or get a hold of if you're hungry and starving to death. All right, next hour, we are going to be talking to Superintendent of Schools for Cassia County, Dr. Jim Shank, and then our business salute with Curtis over to Patterson's. And then at 10:30, we're going to have Phil Kirpin on the air, and we're going to be talking about some more ways the government trying to harangue money from you and I. So don't go away. Wheels is standing by to take us up to CBS News. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch on this Thursday, and we've had callers call in and say your station is cutting out in a VoIP situation. I am not the engineer. I can't control this, and I'll refer over to Wheels. Wheels, are you finding out what the problem is or what's going on over there?
I just talked to Scotty, and what we can do is, if you'd like, we can reestablish your call.
It's not my phone line at all. I mean, it was going on through the news, so that's not my phone line. That's something to do from the station.
Okay, I'll see what we
All right. If it's doing it during the news, I'm not even on the air at that time, so let's find out what the problem is if we can. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by your major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you right now with a great big spring tire sale. And, of course, don't forget, too, our great friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And let's not forget our friends at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. You know, they are doing everything for the protection of the health of their residents, and believe me, they're very prepared, stocked up with food and supplies to keep everyone well fed and comfortable, and it is a beautiful, beautiful location. 12-bedroom home, Greystone Crossing, right there on Alfresco Road, 21st Street, and it's just 1 mile east of Walmart. I urge you to call 650-4979 and set up an appointment so they can show you around the beautiful facility called Greystone Crossing. 3 meals a day, housekeeping, snacks, everything for you. Seniors living the good life with their friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living, 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Want to also take the opportunity quickly to talk to you about 7K Metals and silver purchases sent right to your home. You can build your own financial security and future, and I urge you to contact my friends Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259, and let them help you with the silver purchases and a saving opportunity, and also a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. 7K Metals with silver purchases, as I said, sent right to your home. Tell them I told you to call, and you take care of it today. Lon Hardy and Sharon Wilmot with 7K Metals. What about the status on that, Wheels? Is it any better, going away, or what's going on?
As far as for your show, it's all clear. I figured that it has to do with our CBS News, so I'm going to talk to Gina maybe, too, and see if we can figure out that streaming.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And is Dr. Shank on the phone and ready to go?
Yes, sir, he is.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying that people in education right now are absolutely staying up late at night, rolling up their sleeves, trying to figure out what to do, how to get it done, and where to go. And here we have with us the superintendent of schools for Cassia County School System, Dr. James Shank. Good morning, Doctor. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing well.
Well, I'm glad you say that, because I can't imagine how your school year has been turned upside down. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Well, that's an interesting way to put it, Zeb. Yes. How things are going? Well, they're going about as well as we can be expected in terms of what we're being asked to do. And you may have followed that before our spring break this week, we closed school for a few days the prior week, too. In response to the emergency, and we put in place our continuing educational services during that time, and so we're providing education online, generally to our students in grades 7 through 12, and some perhaps in the upper grades in elementary school, but through some packets and things that our teachers have been preparing, and doing some online types of things for our lower grades. But it's certainly been an interesting endeavor. To try to make sure that our kids are still learning while they're at home. And our staff has just been so wonderful in rolling up their sleeves, like you say, and putting all of this work together so that kids can continue to learn and do so in the context that our state has put before us.
You know, Dr. Shank, I've got so many questions, beg your pardon, and so many different aspects of whether scholarships for graduating seniors or sports activities, whatever. I mean, there's been such a transition. How in the world has your school board or any school board been able to keep up with all this?
Well, all I can say is we're doing our best. We're trying to stay on each of those types of questions. So, for instance, athletics. When you close school, and the Idaho High School Athletics Association will put out a statement, and it suspends all activities, all games. Then none of those are going on. In terms of graduation requirements, our continuing education program that we've got going on allows students to continue to progress towards graduation. Nothing's been suspended in terms of how that's going. It's just going in a different way at home, and our teachers are making sure the kids are progressing, but it's totally different. To go from an all-day type of situation in school to working on that at home is certainly a change. What was the other thing you mentioned? I forgot.
Well, we were talking about scholarships, and we were talking about, like spring sports. Let's talk about that first and foremost. Your track and field, your baseball, that type of thing. A lot of these seniors and a lot of kids are using and utilizing that as perhaps a scholarship base that could get them into a college or university. What's going on with that? How did they revert back to last year's play? I mean, how are these kids going to be treated fairly on leaving high school and possibly going to college?
Yeah, they're going to have to look at the big picture on that, and that's probably going back if a university is interested in a student. This is what happened up to this point. I'm very hopeful that we'll be back in school on the 20th, and that we can resume all of the things that we were doing prior to. It'll be a reduced schedule, obviously, for those sports. They'll have fewer games and fewer things to participate in, but our hope is to be able to get back to that. And if they've got a scholarship that's before them, I don't know that that's necessarily going to go away, because most states are doing the same thing that we are. Some even have canceled school for the rest of the year. So anyway, that's kind of the way that looks. It's one of these pieces that is a struggle and a challenge, but we feel bad for what's going on, but our intent is to hopefully get back in session.
Dr. Shank, what about the personnel at the various schools in Cassia County, whether it's your lunch staff or whether it's your maintenance staff, et cetera? What kind of adjustments, changes, et cetera, have they had to make?
Okay, so our intent is to keep as many as possible employed. So when you look at providing services outside of school, providing lunches, meals, and things for kids, that's still going on. So our lunch program is running. Bus drivers and things, the state's going to allow us to deliver meals and even homework if a driver wants to continue in that type of work. The paraprofessionals or classroom aides, they can be helping teachers with their online types of assignments and delivering and making these packets. So there's a plan that we're putting together to try to keep as many people working and employed as possible, and that's what we've been asked to do by the state as well, to keep people engaged and doing everything that we possibly can to follow the mandate to stay home and work, but also schools are essential services, so there are some things that we can do.
Is there a transition of thinking right now to perhaps, and I don't even want to say this for the hope that it might, I don't want it to come true, but you've got April 20th as possibly a regrouping date to get back into the school system, et cetera, and finish out the school year. But what if that doesn't occur? I mean, are the days that these kids are at home studying, et cetera, is that going to count towards the advancement in the next grade for the next year? Explain that a little bit.
Well, if they're progressing while they're at home and moving forward, and we come back on the 20th and we get rolling again, then we would pick up all of those types of things and make, you're going to need to make it work. I guess that's probably the best way to do it. Mm-hmm. I know that there's flexibility that's being provided to us, and all of these things that we're working out.
When you say that there's flexibility, and you're not the only one going through this now, I mean, we're looking at almost all schools. Do you get on conference calls with other superintendents, other schools, and try to coordinate your efforts to make sure basically we're all on the same page? Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, the answer to that is a big yes. We've had webinars and mostly getting together virtually, where it is that we hear from the State Department, we hear from those people that help provide us guidance. Then we get together in webinar or telephone and work through each of those things and make sure that there's some continuity across the Magic Valley. That's been our effort in the Region 4 that we're in. Was there a chapter in your How to Be a School Superintendent on this problem? Have you had a chance to study this? No, this is a brand new one, Zip. I appreciate that. And everyone's working very, very hard. There's not been a situation like this. The only one we can go back to is when the H1N1 virus came through, and we had to close a couple of schools back then. In terms of economics, the crash in 09, and then again back in 2000. What was it, 2001, I think it was the tech bubble.
Right.
But nothing like this that I've experienced. So.
One group of our education that I think needs a great big shout-out, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about this, the parents. I bet you there's been a lot of parents that have had to transition their daily lifestyles, maybe with mom and dad working, etc. This has been hard on them also, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Just trying to figure all things out, how they work at home, trying to get their students to, their children to push forward in a different context, trying to juggle work, trying to juggle all those responsibilities, and they do deserve a big shout-out and a thank you for, we're all in this together to try to make sure that the students are progressing and working in the fashion that they can.
Is there anything else in the time remaining that you as the superintendent would like to put forth in front of the audience, whether they're personnel of the Cache County schools or parents or students, anything that we've missed that you want to highlight this morning?
Well, I just, we're meeting regularly. We've got all of our teachers and staff, and they're working very hard to try to work through this scenario. We have the best of hopes that things will go in a positive manner, and we're working to prepare and make sure that not only when we come back, projected to be the 20th, that things will move forward as they will, but also preparing for the following school year. Looking towards that, because that's typically what we do in the spring is we look towards the next school year. But, stay with us. We're working on this together, and we're trying to be as communicative as possible. Please stay tuned on our website. We do regular updates. If there's something that's changed, we'll try to get that to them as soon as possible.
Absolutely. I want to say thank you to you for coming on the program this morning. And again, a reiteration that if people have questions, what's the most easy way to find out the answers to those questions? Call the office. Explain that again quickly, if you would.
Yeah, I would say our website's a pretty good source, and but if you want something specific to the district and it's not there, then I would just call our district office, 878-6600. Someone will be able to answer that and at least or get them to the school where it is that they can get a specific answer.
Absolutely. Dr. James Shank, thank you so much for being on the program this morning. And I mean this, good luck to you in the future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you. Educators, and that man as the superintendent, I mean, education's been thrown right up in a turmoil, and all the kids out of school, and of course trying to make sure that they're still getting a semblance of an education, and the parents trying to jiggle and juggle their schedules so that there can be a parent here, a parent there, etc. It's just been a mess, and let's just hope and pray, and I mean this, hope and pray that this problem with the coronavirus and what it's done to our complete society, from sea to shining sea is a short-term thing. Please, all of us, we need to pray and really help those that are doing their very best to stymie and stop this onslaught of this virus. We're going to be visiting with another man in just a moment that I've absolutely have a lot of admiration for because he knows so much more about electronics. Let me ask Wheels if he's ready on the line. Do we have Curtis ready to go?
Yes, sir, we do.
Wheels, you're a good man. Ladies and gentlemen, I have had the honor of having this next advertiser on our program for quite some time. And this is Curtis over at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing awesome.
Well,
it's a great time to be alive and a lot of good things happening.
Really, it is a great time to be alive. Yes, we're going through some little pitfalls right now caused by the coronavirus, which leads me to ask you as an advertiser, what changes or what's taking place at your store that you want the public to know?
Well, certainly we have to take the standard precautions like masks on the installers and gloves, things like that, so they don't become susceptible to corona. We're not, fortunately, we don't have the problem. We have just the right amount of space in the store that we can enable just a few people to come in at a time because of the fact that we supply people with TV and different other things. We have the ability to, in spite of the order issued by the governor, we have the ability with a letter to stay open and help people with their TV. It's so critical that people at this time are able to continue to enjoy life as much as they possibly can, and so we want to help them do that. And with like Dish Network, and then if they do travel in their car to and from grocery stores or whatever, there's some exciting, fun things that we can talk about that are coming up. Pioneer's introducing a 9 and 10-inch display with a single DIN input, so it'll fit in most any vehicle, and I'd be happy to talk about those things. We've got financing available if people need some help, during these difficult times, so there's just a number of things we as a company are doing to help people through this challenging time.
Curtis, that leads me up to admitting that when it comes to electronics, you are talking to a boy that should go sit in the corner as the dunce cap on my head, because there's a lot of things in electronics I don't understand. And so could you touch on, just for a few moments, all the various products that you have there that people might not be aware of?
Certainly. Of course, in vehicles, something that we've had for some time have been car audio. To expand that, Pioneer has introduced a 9 and 10-inch single DIN input displays. Now, you have the flexibility of getting a floating display, meaning if it needs to move to the right about an inch, or to the left an inch, or up or down, or forward or backward, you have that flexibility with Pioneer, excuse me. It also has Cirrus built in, they're Bluetooth, they're Alexa enabled, they're Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so whatever you see on your phone, you can display on the display to make things easy for someone, and that's just one thing that Pioneer has done. Now, with Kicker, they have some down-firing 10 and 12-inch subs, and they'll fit most any vehicle. They're preloaded. It's 500-watt capable, so with your amplifier, you can connect it, and it'll sound great. They also have, for those who don't have an amplifier but want to have some good bass in their vehicles, they've got an 8 and a 10-inch that are all encompassed. You've got your power, your woofer. Great sound coming out of them, and that's kind of a nice thing to have, along with Dish Network. Of course, we've been doing Dish and DirecTV for years, and will continue to. Dish has their 2-year price lock guarantee. They have a refer a friend program. People are probably maybe you've heard of or seen on advertising. It's $100 that they can get.
Right.
And there's a couple different ways they can get access to that and contact the store for details.
Mm-hmm.
Phone number would be 208-678-6997. Now, of course, if it comes to customer service, we have the ability to go out and help people in their homes within 24 to 48 hours.
I see.
And we strive to service everything we sell. And, of course, we're doing some other things like 50% off on Monster Cable. They have things from surge conditioners, HDMI cables, optical cables, RCA. They have power connection cables for washers and dryers. And so if somebody wants to spruce up their home theater system or their system just by adding a sound bar to it with a subwoofer, we can help them there. So for any of their audio video needs in a home, business, or country retreat, whatever you have, we can help you with those needs.
Curtis, one thing I wanted to ask you.
Some ideas, Seb.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about real quick in the time remaining, I've only got about a minute and a half left. In this day and age, I find it imperative and very, very important to have a good video surveillance camera set up. Do you have all that available?
We do in stock. And there's a variety of cameras. We can go with the basic analog camera that's gives you a good picture and will work with just about anybody's system. Or we can do the IP cameras. Now, of course, with the Ring system that we carry, they have cameras as well that are available. So, we've been doing camera systems for years. And like I say, have DVR and cameras in stock.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, folks, I'm proud to have these people on my program, and we're talking to Curtis over at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Number to call, and if you have questions, this man has the answer, 678-6997. Curtis, God bless you, man. Thanks for taking the time to come on the program this morning.
You bet. Hey, Zeb, can I just add one last little thing?
Yeah, certainly.
Time restraints, but last year we did the $1,000 giveaway in December, and we gave it the money away.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking to do the same thing, only do it twice this year, once in June and then once in December. So if there are some people who are that work with a 501c3 company or something like that, have them come in and let's get registered with us so we can help the local charities in the area out as best as we can.
I love it.
Okay?
I love it. Thank you, and we're going to have you back to talk about that some more. Once again, Curtis over at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. Thank you, man. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Stay healthy.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you much. Thank you. Nice man. Great people over there at Patterson's Electronics. Right now, we're going to send it back over to my old quarterback at the main studio. Wheels, take it away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. And we have tried this morning to contact almost all of our advertisers and sponsors, and some of which we're going to have back on the air Monday, talking about changes and transitions that are occurring because of the statewide stay-at-home home order from Brad Little, our governor. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Now, they're open Monday through Saturday from 9 until noon. Now, remember this, from 9 until noon. They're on limited hours, but they urge you to call if you need anything. And as we've mentioned, they are having an absolutely fantastic 40 to 50% off sale on furniture and mattresses. So once again, Again, I'm going to reiterate that number to call, and they can give you the information. Call Jeff and the staff over at Lease Furniture, Floors, and More at 878-2341. That number again, 878-2341. And they're located at 459 Overland in Burley to serve you. Open from 9 until noon, Monday through Saturday. Limited hours at Lease Furniture, Floors, and More. And they are serving you. Get a hold of them today. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we're going to go to the phone line and talk to a gentleman that is the president of AmericanCommitment.org. Good morning, Phil Kirpin. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. Other than trying to get work done with my kids all acting crazy and everything else like everyone else is these days, I guess. But, other than that, I'm all right. How about you?
Well, I've got to ask you, how many younger ones are you trying to herd like cats in your home over the last couple of days?
Well, we've got 4 kids, 8, 7, 7, and 4.
Oh, my.
So it's a lot. And my wife is an employee benefits lawyer, and so she's basically working, 1,000 hours a day. And I'm trying to stay on top of all the legislative developments with all these bills and all this kind of stuff. So it's intense.
I would imagine that kids that age, and you can't blame them, you got to God bless them, but they're being cooped up in the house and everything, and poor dad, poor mom, I mean, you're bouncing off the walls.
I'm out in the yard as much as I can.
I don't blame you. Phil, tell me a little bit about, when I read your note about what's going on with Congress and perhaps rejecting price controls on consumer credit, etc., a lot of people might kind of look this over in the newspaper and just gloss by it and let it go and not think about what it really means. Give us kind of a thumbnail sketch of what you're talking about here.
Well, this is something that there was an effort from a lot of the liberal groups to put this in the Corona bill. It did not end up in there, although a lot of other bad stuff did, which we can talk about. But this is the idea that government should put price caps on consumer loans in the economy, on credit cards, on installment loans, on appliance purchases, payday loans, all of that, that the federal government should cap the interest that can be charged in the private sector on that. And there are a few different versions of this floating around, but they all amount to essentially taking billions of dollars of credit out of the economy, access to credit for a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't have any other access to credit. And if you do that, one of two things happens. Either they turn to criminal lenders, loan sharks, that kind of thing, what have you, or they have no money and they can't make ends meet in emergency situations and so forth. And that wouldn't be tolerable from a policy standpoint. The interesting is Bernie Sanders has this bill that basically caps all loans, all consumer loans in the economy at no more than 15%, which bans most credit cards and pretty much all installment loans and short-term loans, that kind of thing. And he got asked, well, what about all the people who won't be able to get any loans because the default risk is higher than what people would be allowed to charge? And he said, well, that's no problem. We'll just lend to them through the post office, and we'll make every post office in every town in America a lending center. And they'll lend to people at low interest rates that don't cover the default risk. And, the problem with that, of course, is the post office would rack up monster billions in losses. And, of course, taxpayers would eventually be forced to bail them out, and Democrats would say we need to forgive the loans. And so it's good that they weren't able to get that in this bill. It's bad that they're going to keep trying and pushing this idea. But that's what that was about.
Phil, why is it?
What I'd like to talk to you about a little bit, if you don't mind, is some of the big problems with the bill that they're about to pass in Congress.
Yeah.
That did get in there, and in particular, they really messed up these unemployment provisions in a way that I think is going to make it very, very hard for our economy to recover after everything reopens and we're past this virus. In particular, they've set the unemployment up so that for up to 4 months, people can get their state-defined benefit plus an additional $600 per week, which basically means that for everyone who's making under $20 an hour, they're going to be paid more to stay on unemployment than they would if they went back to work. And that's going to create a really, really negative incentive in terms of people getting back into working kind of when the all clear comes. And we're going to, I think, have a huge problem actually getting the economy moving again now because of what they did with unemployment.
Phil, let me...
It's going to be a massive problem. That unfortunately, if they don't fix it, I think we're going to have an L-shaped recovery instead of a V-shaped recovery. And there's a bunch of other pork and other nonsense in the bill, but that's the one thing I'm really concerned about.
Well, and I want you to elaborate on that a little bit. Over the years that I've been doing this talk show, we have seen progressively every year more people, more groups, more left loons that want to give people something for doing nothing. Stay at home. We'll give you $1,000 check. You don't have to go to work. We are creating a totally dependent society, and this is one more of the loony ideas from the left. This has got to be stopped.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be stopped. I think the president is going to sign it because he wants to get the emergency loans and to sort of re-liquefy the economy so that we don't have massive rolling business failures. And so he's going to sign this bill. But it's really, I think, outrageous what they did. And, you know, the thing that's most amazing to me is when Republicans saw this bill, they said, oh, my God, this must be a mistake in writing the bill. They couldn't possibly have meant to make unemployment pay much more than work. They must have meant for it to be 100%, which is what the Democrats have been saying in their talking points. And so they put an amendment up last night that would have limited unemployment benefits to 100% of your wages. So you can make as much on unemployment as you did working, but you couldn't make more. And it failed. Only one Democrat voted for it. And actually, Ron Wyden, the top Democrat on the Senate Finance Committee, went down to the Senate floor and he said, this wasn't a drafting mistake. We did this on purpose. We totally want people to make more on unemployment than they did at their jobs. And only one Democrat, Joe Manchin, voted to cap unemployment benefits at 100% of wages. Two Republicans actually voted no.
Oh, brother.
Gardner and Susan Collins. And, you know, just so people understand what we're talking about, I did a couple of examples for Idaho. And I found that a entry-level worker making $10 an hour in Idaho, if they're working 40 hours a week, they would qualify for a $200 state unemployment benefit. Under this bill, they get that extra $600 from the federal government, so they'd be getting $800 a week in unemployment benefits. So a $10 an hour worker gets $400 a week if they work. They get $800 a week if they don't work.
Oh my goodness!
For a $10 worker. If you go to a $15 per hour worker, they qualify for $300 in state unemployment benefits plus the $600 federal, so they're getting $900 a week if they don't work, $600 a week if they do work for a $15 an hour worker in Idaho.
Oh my goodness!
The point here is basically there's a huge incentive for anyone who is making under $20 an hour to use the whole 4 months of unemployment before they go back to work to try to get a job right towards the end of that 4 months. Because we're paying them more not to work than they make working. That is a huge economic mistake. And I think that what we're going to find is that when the all clear is sounded, it's going to be very, very hard for businesses to get the workers they need at the low end to actually get things up and running expeditiously.
You know, your point is so well taken, because right now you can drive down any street in any town and see signs up on the marquee that say help wanted, inquire within, we need so many workers, we need so many of this and that and the other. This is only going to exacerbate the problem and make it more to the point where we'll never be able to fill these jobs, and many businesses probably will go out of business.
Well, right now we're looking at sort of an economic catastrophe because of all the lockdowns. And, you know, we've got over 3 million jobless claims this week, by far the record of all time. And, you know, we could be, you know, if this lockdown continues for another month, like people are saying, we're going to be looking at, 30 or 40% unemployment.
Oh, my.
There's numbers we've never seen, total Great Depression type numbers. And we should be doing everything we can to make sure that when the all clear is sounded, we have the sharpest recovery possible. We get everyone to work as soon as possible. And, I get the logic of, we want to take care of people on the low end. We want to push out extra money. I get what everyone's saying about it being a crisis. But, they should have done it for 1 month, maybe 2 months. this idea that we can have this massively enhanced unemployment benefit for 4 months, I really think we're going to regret it, because it's going to be so hard to get the economy moving again. And, once an economy stalls out, it can take a very long time to start new businesses and reorganize things and get people working again. And we could be in for a very lengthy, very painful period of economic depression here that actually, I think, could dwarf the harm that the virus itself causes. So policy mistakes that make that worse, like this provision, are really unforgivable. And, the fact that Democrats did it on purpose, and it wasn't a mistake. They fully wanted to have up to 4 months of unemployment that, for workers who are towards the low end, pays them more than they could get working. It's just insane, especially considering that, the biggest mistake we made during the Obama recession was they kept extending unemployment benefits.
That's right.
And that kept the labor force really suppressed, and that was such a huge drag on the economy in those years. When we finally ended the extended benefits is when the recovery really started. And now we're not only repeating that mistake, we're doing a much worse version of it, because we're actually saying we'll literally pay you more not to work than to work.
Are we overlooking the fact that the Republican Party, the Trump administration, et cetera, they just went along to get along? I mean, I know it's the 11th hour, and Donald Trump wants to do so much to help the small business owners, et cetera. But by signing this, instead of staying tough and saying to these people, the left and the Democrats, no, I'm not going to sign this until you take this out of there. Wasn't there time, or is there not time, to take care of this and do it the right way?
Well, I don't know. Look, clearly there were a number of Senate Republicans who sort of rang the alarm about this provision, and they tried to get it removed, and there was obviously a lot of resistance. I guess that Secretary Mnuchin had already agreed to it with the Democrat negotiators, and the best they could get was that amendment vote, which failed. And so I don't know, what step there might be now to limit it. Maybe there's something the Department of Labor can do from a regulatory standpoint. I don't know the answer to that, but it looks to me like this is going to be the reality for the next 4 months at least, and we're going to have to make sure it doesn't get extended beyond that. So at least we can start to have an accelerating recovery, when those extended benefits run out.
And I would say, looking down the road to the November election, my goodness, God help us all if a Democrat gets elected as president, and what will happen to the financial status of this country?
Well, I think that all of these emergency temporary measures that are put in, and all the other crazy ones that Nancy Pelosi wanted, that'll be the agenda if the Democrats win. We sort of already know. They want permanent paid sick leave and unemployment that pays more than working, and all of this other stuff. That's their agenda. Is they want to push massive amounts of money out the door, not just during a crisis, but they want to do it all the time. And so I really think that the idea of sort of receding from this, horrible crisis and sort of getting back to normal as fast as possible depends on the president being reelected and, having, ideally a Republican House and Senate so we can really, get back into high gear as fast as possible. I'm really worried that if Democrats win in the election, they will extend these policies, and then they will use the bad economy that the policies create as the excuse to expand these policies even further and, onward in that kind of a spiral.
Phil, real quick answer to this, because I'm almost out of time, but was the stimulus package $2 trillion, and maybe it might have to be revisited in a couple of months and enhance it even further, but was it a good idea, or would we have been better off just for Congress and politics to stay out of this? Let's see what happens on a recovery put up by ourselves instead of a stimulus package and increasing the debt. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that there's a lot of bad stuff in there, but I think they probably did need to do some of the central elements of it. In particular, I really like the payroll tax deferral, although I would have liked it to just be a cut as opposed to a deferral. I think that's going to take a lot of weight off of businesses right now. And the other thing that I really like is the Federal Reserve lending facility, which is going to prevent a lot of businesses from going out of business by getting access to loans against their collateral. We don't want businesses to have to liquidate their assets right now and sell at a low and drive prices down even further, and this should prevent that from happening. And so there's some key elements here. From a sort of philosophical free market standpoint, the problem here is government is the reason that all these businesses are shut down. Government ordered all these shutdowns, and so I think that when you have a situation like that, it's more of a compensation for the injury government imposed than it is a giveaway, especially when we're talking about loans, not grants.
I really enjoy having this gentleman on my program, president of AmericanCommitment.org, and we thank Phil Kerpen. Phil, God bless you. I know that you got to go back probably to playing Mr. Mom right now, and God bless you for taking the time to come on the program this morning. Thank you so much.
All right, my pleasure. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir. Can you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, that we're now in a position, and this just frustrates me. I've been mad about this on this program for a long, long time, to where we have a segment of our society now that can sit home and put their feet up on the couch, rest, eat bonbons, and watch TV, sit back and enjoy the day, do nothing, at your and my expense, because now they can make more money by doing nothing and not being contributing members to our society, just being lazy slobs, and we pay for it. This just drives me up the wall. Caller, good morning. Before I do the weather, I'll take your call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, so go ahead now.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. Hey, let me ask you a question, Zeb. You own this program, and if you had to drive to the studio, would they call you essential or non-essential?
Anything in broadcasting right now is essential because we do provide a service of alerting the public to anything that might be a national emergency, a local crisis, etc. And due to the fact that I own this program and the structure of how it's set up with all the advertisers and everything, yes, it's an essential part of giving and maintaining information to the general public.
Well, let me tell you something. The state of Idaho owns the liquor stores, and they're open. And I thought that was interesting.
Well, let me tell you something. After the morning I've had, I think I'm going to open the door and go in and buy a bottle.
Well, I was just in Walmart, and the guys were stocking beer. When one of those guys I know, he's a friend of mine, and I walked over to him, and I says, "Where are your papers?" And I says, "Are you guys essential?"
You know, we can laugh a little bit about it, but it's going to be very critical time for the next 21 days, or however long the governor and his mandate deem it necessary. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to hang in there. I know you're going to hang in there. I know my sponsors and advertisers are hanging in there doing the best they can, and that's all that people can expect. But when you hear the idiocy that's going on in Washington, D.C. by adding things to a stimulus bill that was meant to just help people and businesses, and they add all this fluff and all this candy like unemployment to where people can stay on unemployment and make more money at home doing nothing. Randy, we are living in a world of idiocy right now in politics, and it's got to be cleaned up.
Well, I had a contractor call me last week, and he says, "I need a pick-me-up. Can you give me any insight?" And, of course, I was flattered that he thought I knew something. But he said he was worried that people, your employees who don't want to work, and more it seems as though there are more and more of them.
Yeah.
And so he's worried that they aren't going to be able to they won't come back, or they won't want to come back. And it's just creating another welfare.
Absolutely it is.
I don't know. There was something else I was going to say, but you got another call?
I do, and I've got to get a weather forecast in, but Randy, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your call. Thank you so much.
You bet.
All right. Caller, stay with me. Please have patience. I'll be right with you. I want to remind everybody about Edith's Cafe. Absolutely at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. And they are also serving the truck drivers over at 2500 Washington Street across from Fabrical. They've set up a trailer over there to help all the truck drivers make sure they get some goodies and some real good food. Thank you very much to Edith's Cafe. Don't forget, they have curbside service. You give them a call at 878-2248. They will be glad to provide all their delicious meals. Curbside, Edith's Cafe. That number again, I'm going to stretch the number today, 878-2248. Once again, 878-2248. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 11 to 8, Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 9. Don't forget Edith's Cafe. Caller, stand by. We're going to quickly do the weather, and I'll be there. Scarrows Meats, Don Scarrow and the whole crew serving you at 331 North Road, Jerome, with the best of meats for any occasion. Whether it's just for the family or maybe a great big gathering, you better get a hold of them today. All the pork ribs and the tri-tips and the bacons and the sausages, all of it delicious from Scarrows Meats. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like Mother Nature is going to bestow upon us some sunshine and warmer temperatures. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. We are expecting mostly sunny skies with a high of 45. A little bit of a breeze out of the west, gusts as high as 23 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear with a low of 25. By Friday, mostly sunny, 47. Looks like sunny skies and 52 for Saturday, Sunday. Slight chance of rain showers in the afternoon with a high of 52. Then by Monday, mostly sunny, 56, 63 for Tuesday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebed's Ranch.
Brought to you by Scarrows Meats over in Jerome, 331 North Road to be exact. Number to call, 324-7657. And Don and the crew want you to know they're changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Caller, I've only got a minute and a half. Real fast, please.
Zeb, this is Chuck Driscoll, Veteran Service Officer. I just wanted to give everybody food for thought. I know that this panic is really causing a lot of people grief and worry about it, but let's put it in perspective. Every day, 20 veterans die at their own hand. That's over 7,000 a year. I just want people to think and put it into perspective.
Chuck, would you do me a favor and call me the first of the week, and I'd like to elaborate on that a little bit with my audience. And Wheels, you've got to run that feedback a little bit. It's way too much on these calls. Chuck, please call me in the first hour next Monday, and let's talk a little bit about this, because I think numbers and statistics are very important at this time. Thank you so much for calling in.
You have a good day.
All right, God bless. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Zeb, very much. Appreciate it. This is in regards to Damien, your helper at the studio, your engineer. I want to say thank you to him because he's always right there for you, Johnny on the spot, no matter what. So many people that are out there listening don't give him enough accolades, and I want to make sure it's being known all over that he helps like he does. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You know what? I appreciate that call. Wheels, we call him by nickname, has done an outstanding job and has really matured in his position over there at the station, and he knows the immediacy of radio like right now at the drop of a hat. Wheels, there, your cap won't fit. Everybody's bragging on you.
I know, and thank you, Barbara, for all those kind words. I really appreciate it, man.
And your check is in the mail, right?
I hope so.
Thanks, Wheels. Hey, I want to remind everybody about your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They are so good and so service-oriented. Okay, here's the situation. They absolutely are caring about your health. They've really increased their cleaning and disinfecting efforts at every location. They're making sure that when you come into the store, everything is going to be safe and sane for you and your family. And don't forget, they are there to serve you at 7 locations in this area. Absolutely wonderful people with the best of tires, the best of brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, all of this and more. And they're having right now their big spring tire sale. I urge you to stop in, check out the tires you need for safe driving on your car, pickup, SUV, etc. All of this and so much more. With Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wheels, We made it, and a busy day it has been with both of us trying to coordinate everything with the calls and everything. God bless you, man, and stay healthy. Don't you dare get sick, okay?
I definitely will, sir. We broke a little sweat this morning, but like you said, we're past that. We got through it, and thank you.
All right, buddy.
I look forward to talking to you on Monday.
Yes, sir. We're going to wrap it up, put it back in the box for this week. The way things were, the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that we really adhere to are in God we trust. Take care, everybody. Stay healthy. We'll see you Monday at 8:06.